Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we open this meeting tonight, I'd like to take a moment and honor Keith Mason. He was quite an asset to our community. He's going to leave a big hole in our community. Thank you. Okay.
So,
Introduction.
I'm Kristen, and we have Bob Jones, Mike Beecher, Rich Hewlett, Jessica Van Ort for the select board members tonight. And online we have Lisa Wright, and the name here says Jim Hand. So the Hand group here is also online. You're muted, but if you'd like to speak and introduce yourself, you're welcome to do so. And then in the audience here in person tonight, we have Harley Cudney, Kim Ayers, and Frank Nelson. And in terms of addition or deletion, there's no deletions, but in addition to talking about the errors and omissions, Lisa also is going to speak about the equalization in order to reappraise from 2021 within the assessor's report. And there are just a couple of other items, but I think that they'll fall within the report section, so no other official additions that I had.
Okay.
The minutes.
Approval of the minutes.
Yeah, from November 15th.
I'll move that we approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Kim?
All right, so December 14th, we've scheduled a tax sale. There's Joey Mullen / Jolene Mead, West Pawlet, Tyler Brown, Michelle Brown. I don't know who they are. I think they just purchased recently. Nicole Lurvy, Matt McCullen, West Pawlet, and Leo LeDuc has 3 properties, Duke Realty and Tunkett Brook Realty. So December 14th at 12, and we just need somebody from the board to show up if they can.
Okay, John always used to do that. And what, are you guys familiar with how that works? What happens is if no one bids on the property, the town ends up buying it. And then after 1 year, if they don't, if the owner doesn't pay up the back taxes and stuff, clear it, the town ends up owning it.
And what happened with that property in
The
West
trailer.
Pawlet that we were dealing with last year?
That's how we
Yes.
got that. That's how we got the store. And we got one other property that way that we ended up selling. And we can sell it for what we have into it. We can't keep anything above what we have into it. But one of the things we learned quite a few years ago, that if we didn't buy it, it just, like the Butler property in West Pawlet Village. He never paid anymore, so it just went on again till the next.
And that's what's going, like with Matt McCollum, I gave him ample opportunity to pay. He was on a payment plan and then he just stopped. And then when Kevin talked to him, he was on his own, begged to make payments, but he's up there pretty high, so
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. I mean, I gave him a chance, so.
Right.
But yeah, so I don't know who Tyler Brown and Michelle Brown are. I don't know that.
Well, where's the address?
I don't have that. Do that actually. But I don't know. I think so. I'm not familiar with that. And I feel like they just recently got it. I think it's in West Pawlet, I'm pretty sure. That one says 3099 Vermont Route 153.
What was the number?
3099 Vermont Route 153. I don't know.
I grandfather's house was 3406.
That's 4021,
So they've acquired,
Be in the
they
village?
got it from
99 is on
Um,
your side of the road.
James Nichols and Caitlin Nichols, is dated November 4th, 2020.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know where that one is.
It's
honestly
it's
don't.
in that little stretch just between, what do they call it? Like Chicken Alley.
Yep.
And
I know where
It's
that-
like-
okay, you're talking.
headed north, it's like the fourth house. It was where next to Lurvy's,
so.
right? It was,
Roberts is the house,
yeah,
the double house.
yeah.
And then a lot of them that I had been getting help from the state.
Mhm.
So a lot of them, I mean, they sent payments, so that, which was a good thing, but through that assistance program. But, so we just needed to have somebody there.
I will not be in town on the 14th, so I can't do it.
And it literally takes 10 minutes, 15. And I can't think of his name right now. He's been bidding on him, and I can't think of his name.
Collard.
Yes, thank you. I was like, what is his name? Yes, he's been, and he did bid on 2 last year, and then they redeemed them within like 2 months, so. But, so he's been doing it, but.
Does anybody have the time to make that? 14th.
I could go down, or Richard, I can do it.
Well, the only thing we need to do is we just need to authorize somebody at the meeting to, on behalf of the town, so.
Bob. It's a Wednesday.
Yep.
So it looks like Robert, you could see he really wants to. Land barons and all. Okay, so somebody want to make a motion to authorize Robert to buy the property on the town's behalf if no one else bids on it.
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Is it one sale?
What time is it?
Several, right?
There's,
Yeah.
yeah,
There are
like Leo
several.
Leduc has 3 properties, so there's 3 there. So 6 properties total, but Leo has 3 of them, so the other 3.
Okay.
So is the auction here?
For
at the
the
town
town.
hall?
Here at 12 o'clock, yep. And it doesn't take long, it's just
What time is it?
12 o'clock.
12 o'clock.
14th, which Mullen and Mead paid last year before it, but then McCullen I never took because of he was paying payments and then he just stopped.
You have to put these out to public notice, right?
Yeah, they were in the Herald, it'll be 3 weeks before the 14th. 2 weeks ago, I think I signed with Kevin, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Has to be published for 3 weeks, and we have to post it in a public place, which we posted here, and the Rutland Herald has it.
Okay.
So.
So you may want to amend to add the properties to the,
Is it posted on the town website or anything like
I
that?
don't know. I don't know if Deb does. I feel like she doesn't. I don't know.
If you want to send it to me, I can send
Okay.
it to Sean.
Yeah, because I don't really know how. I mean, who to contact to do
I think
that.
it would be a
Sean.
good,
But-
right, I
because
think it would be a good place.
Yeah, Deb does get calls of people asking, and Julie did recently too before we signed papers. So I just don't know who to contact to do that, but we can. But and if, unfortunately, if they pay it before, then we don't. If somebody shows up, if they don't call and check before, then you know, not to be mean, but they drive here for nothing. But nothing we could do. Can't put another blurb out saying whatever properties are left. They could just call.
Okay.
So that's it.
Frank?
it's not one property, so you might have to amend the motion to Robert to any of the properties up for auction.
Right.
The motion states that Bob Jones is authorized to purchase the properties
Okay.
on the town's behalf, should no one else bid.
Good job. Okay, any announcement, anything else for Kim? Thank you very much, Kim.
Thank you.
Any announcements? Zoning Administrators Report.
So you all have a copy. Nancy Morlino, let's see, somebody else is joining Zoom.
This is the report that Nancy Morlino submitted last night at the Planning Commission meeting.
Okay.
You want me to read it, or you're?
Please do.
So the zoning report for November 28th of 2022 received a letter from Daniel Bonnier, DBA Slate Ridge Farm, dated 11/6/22, stating that he is installing a 22 by 15 goat milking parlor, 9 by 9 poultry coop structure, and the action was that it was sent along to Merrill Bent. New permit application number 22-25 for Adam Stoffer of 11 or Herrick Brook Road. Second floor additions to existing garage and connector. Shed addition to back of existing garage. Total of approximately 600 square feet for all 3 spaces. Connector 19 by 9, which is a 171 square foot master bedroom. 22 by 21, which is 462 square foot, and a shed of 7 by 20. Total permits issued year to date are 25. Land use permit amendment for Robley Farm. Comments are due on that by December 13th of 2022. Mars Auction Barn posting signage for boat and auto storage. Is this a change of use? For zoning process consideration, obtain E911 address prior to application. Procedure to assure permit compliance and completion. Zoning 101 training via Zoom took place on 11/30. Shadowing of the Dorset zoning administrator on December 1st, and scanning and archiving of documents through the State of Vermont General Record Schedule states guideline retention for document types.
And my report will have a little bit of clarification on a couple of these as well.
Okay, please do.
All right, so the Planning Commission report. We met last night, Monday, November 28th at 7:30, and we're pleased to welcome Nancy Morlino, our new zoning administrator, to give her her first report. So we discussed with her some changes to the permit application that she would like to see. That's sort of the first 2 things on this zoning process consideration. She would like to put a spot on the permit where they put their EU911 address, because she has to verify that in the process. And if she doesn't get it prior to the application, she has to go hunting after them for their E91 address. She also would like to put in there, we ascertained last night that it is in our bylaws and is a state regulation that the permit is good for 2 years from when they apply for it. So what she wants to put that on the permit as well, like how long it's good, so they can't just get a permit and then 10 years later do something, right? And there were a few other minor changes to the permit, the actual permit they fill out that she wants to do, and would also like to put it up online so people can fill it out online if that's better for them than filling it out as a paper application. So we gave her the go-ahead to make, as a planning commission, to make some changes, and once she has made those changes to the application, it will be presented here to the select board for approval. The part about the scanning and archiving of documents, she's going to meet with myself and Harley to discuss how we might go about getting those various zoning documents scanned so that we have them digitally. And she also, what this says about the guideline retention for document types, most of the files by state of Vermont law only need to be kept for up to like 15 years. That's the most that they have to be kept. And we have documents in that office from the 70s. So she thinks that we should shred the old documents.
Maybe scan them before they're shredded.
Well, but if we don't need to keep them at all, anyhow, that's what we're going to discuss. We're going to look at the statutes, and we're going to figure out how to scan the documents and so on and so forth. So to go on, and this bit here about the Mars Auction Barn, she noticed that they've put up a sign saying now that there's going to be boat and auto storage there, and that obviously would be a change of use from their current, they currently have a permit to be an auction barn. And so she wants to proactively contact them and see if that's what they want to do, and let them know that they need to file an updated zoning permit. So she is on top of that. We do have, so to continue with my report, John Sabatka, who is our Planning Commission representative to the Regional Transportation Advisory Committee, TAC, He suggests that the select board consider asking the new road foreman to attend the TAC meetings. Evidently, much of the information that's given there really pertains to roads and other highway needs, and there's a lot of information given about grants that are available for road needs. John was mentioning that there was one that was brought up at this last TAC meeting that was about grants for money to make sheds to store your salt or winter sand in. And these are things that we wouldn't know about and the road foreman wouldn't necessarily know about without attending. Many other towns have their road foreman as their representative to TAC. It does meet once a month and it's possible to attend virtually. And I'm thinking especially if whoever we get for our new road foreman is whoever we get will be less experienced than our previous road foreman, right? So this might be a good thing for us to suggest they do to know what's going on. For the rest of the meeting, we met with Ed Bove from Rutland Regional Planning Commission to work on updating the unified bylaws, which we've been doing for a little while now, to address economic development and the need for more and varied housing. These updates are funded by a bylaw modernization grant. We're getting near the end of this work. The plan is that Ed and I are going to meet at some point in December to sort of merge our documents in progress. I have the updates that the Planning Commission has been working on for some time regarding conditional uses, and he has the various updates that he has suggested, mostly having to do with things like setbacks and coverage requirements on lots. We're going to merge them into one document. It will be the draft of the new updates, and then at the January meeting of the Planning Commission, we plan to go over that draft. If the Planning Commission does like what they see at that time, we will start it through the whole process of warning meetings. Planning Commission has to warn a meeting. We have to warn a meeting. The Planning Commission is also canceling its December meeting, which would have been on December 26th. And we feel that even without that meeting, we will be able to meet the grant deadline for that bylaw modernization grant. All right, that's my report.
Anybody have any more questions or comments with Jessica's report from the Planning Commission? All right, well, thank you very much, Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with the road?
So very little to report. One of the guys did come in and mention that we possibly need a couple of front tires for the tractor. So they're working on getting prices. I'll take a look at the tires with them and we'll get some prices on tires, and if we need them, we'll get them.
Are those just R1 tires on that?
They're radial. I'm not
Well-
sure what the ply is on them.
No, are the tread design, are they regular tractor tires,
Yeah,
R1
yeah.
tractor tires? A lot of
Yeah.
the tractors I see on the road that run the blacktop a lot have those other style.
Just like we put on the backhoe.
Yes,
They're like a turf.
yeah. I know
Mhm.
one time I was talking to somebody and they say if they run the blacktop a lot, those tires hold up a lot better.
Mhm. No, they do. And we can get prices on that, and that might be what the guys are doing.
Okay.
I had just gotten that report today.
I was
so.
just curious about that, if, you
Mhm.
know, if it, maybe
Mhm.
it's cost prohibitive to
Yeah, that
spend the
makes a
extra
lot of
money,
sense. I mean, they cover a lot of territory on blacktop, and
'cause-
those other tires don't last. Like your typical ag tires don't last on the
Right.
blacktop.
Right, and we certainly don't need the extra traction
No.
for that.
Perry did message me with pricing for the tires that he looked into. R1 radials, which are on the tractor now, are $660 each, and Garden Pro R3 square knobs are $875 each. He is personally in favor of the Garden Pros, but that's just his own 2 cents. Roadside mowing is also completed.
Now, did he mention there if that included mounting with tubes or just tires or?
Those are the tire prices, is what he said. He said anything else, let him know, so I could ask him.
That's 200 some bucks a piece more for those for the other style.
Mm-hmm.
With
And then
tubes.
there's a whole range of brands that you buy that you can spend
Mm-hmm.
double your money too. So where's that, from Pete's?
I'm not sure where he did get the
He said he was
prices.
gonna get-
What's that?
He said he was gonna get the pricing from Pete's.
From Pete's, okay.
So
It
that's
just-
the information. I just asked him if that included mounting, but,
We don't really need it this winter, but we need them, and it may be just as for
I
ahead
think,
with.
I think right now there's one that is damaged,
it's at
right,
C-
that needs
yes.
repair.
So from what he said, one of them needs repair,
Okay.
like right away, and then the
And I
other
haven't
one.
looked to see, you know, if
Okay.
it's a patch or if it needs a
Right.
section repair.
But I mean, I don't know, just the way everything seems to keep going up and up and up, and fuel prices go up, that's driving tire prices up, so
Mhm.
it may be just a good idea to have them on and be ready for spring right now, in my opinion.
Mhm. No, I agree.
Harley?
Are either of those prices for the asphalt more compatible with asphalt?
The second one, the $800 one was, what do they call them, a garden knob
Yeah,
or
the
something?
square knob. They're not nearly as
Square knob.
aggressive, you know, but we're not, you know, working in the fields or on side hills or, I mean, most everything that does is on the road. So,
He said he did not think that price included mounting, and they would be tubeless. I don't know anything about tires. so-
tubeless is good with new rims or fairly new rims. If the
Okay.
rims aren't in great shape, that's a
Right.
battle that we don't wanna fight.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
maybe has looked at the rims and sees that that's gonna be fine.
Front rims wouldn't be loaded on that either, so we tend to not have any damage from calcium on the rims too, so.
Well, with that price difference, what, like $200 price difference? If we got even like a third again as much life out of them, we'd make up the difference.
Mhm.
Right, yeah. Right, 33% basically
Yeah,
is the extra
basically.
money, and I would suspect that you're gonna get probably all that and more. It seems to be a way a lot of, like you said, we put them on the backhoe and stuff.
Ask Perry if those are tubeless tires now.
He did not get mounting prices. Tubeless now. I
Pretty sure
also,
they're tubeless now, cause he said they could try to put tubes in, but the one that's leaking now has a cut in it. So
The tire has a cut in it.
it has a slice in it on the side, and it's just from flexing, and the other one is dry rotted all the way around,
Yes.
so it's only a matter of time before they're
Mhm.
both going flat.
Sounds like
constantly.
we should get a couple tires for it.
they're currently tubeless. I have to, okay. I'm gonna grab my phone charger just out of my car real quickly because Zoom has quit like 5 times since we started this meeting, and Lisa is on deck and might need to call in, so. If you say anything that needs to be in the minutes, just repeat it.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
The registration for one of the trucks.
Can sign it and send it back in.
Everything else seems to be in order with
Yeah,
all the rest of the equipment. We have a truck set up in case we get a storm. Or,
they can set them up quickly. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to meet with Perry or Dale this week. But when I did, the meeting we had with Stephanie a couple weeks ago, Dale had mentioned they can have a truck ready, like within a couple
a
hours.
few hours, okay,
So,
so that's good enough.
Do we have any updates on our open positions that can be shared publicly?
we've done 2 interviews so far. We had one today that called and canceled last minute. So I don't know if he rescheduled or not.
So yeah, we've had 2 interviews so far, and they've gone well.
Mhm.
And we have 3 others that we need to schedule. The one this morning indicated that he was ill and so couldn't make it, so I just asked that he let me know when he was feeling better and we could reschedule. But I hope to have the other 3 scheduled within the next week, so for the next meeting we'll have an update.
That seems promising. Great.
We continue to get people trickling in too.
There's a few more applications now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had, I think, 4 others since we last met, but several of them did not have the qualifications that
Okay.
we had outlined that we needed for the roles. So, I mean, the most basic one was several applied and didn't have a CDL. So, the people that didn't have the qualifications, I've let them know that they didn't meet what we needed, but
Okay.
so far so good.
All right. Anything else on the road?
That's
Guess
all I
we're-
have to
we're
report.
good for now?
Mhm.
Okay. Lisa Wright.
Lisa.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you fine, thank you.
Okay, fingers crossed the technology keeps working. Kristen, do these folks have in their packets my memo requesting this errors and omissions?
They've all had it forwarded to them in their emails, which I think everybody's looked at.
Reference it again.
I can pull
Are
mine
you,
up.
we're good?
Yep. You seem to be frozen.
Okay.
It froze up.
Oh, are you there?
You froze for a moment, so I missed a sentence of that. I have my phone here ready to give you a call if we need to do that.
Okay. Everybody got the memo forwarded to them in their emails, so they should all have it. I can also pull it up.
So I don't know if the board has questions about that, or if they want to allow Marilyn Hand to speak to this issue, or if they want to make a decision based on this memo. It is in the board's authority at this point to grant or not this request for an errors and omissions, because I cannot change the grand list after the final grand list is lodged without going through the select board and getting their approval.
I'm going to print it out right now.
You don't need to print one for me. I've got it right here.
So the bottom line is there was, to sum it up, a difference in interpretation on my part versus PBR's recommendation on this. The statute took effect, and my memo is incorrect on the date, where I said that the legislative change took effect on 7/1/2022. That was actually 2021. And I apologize for that error. My point in stating that was that this law was not in effect for 2021. So any requests from the appellant regarding 2021, I think, are a moot point. Where it is a valid request and is supported by the PBR recommendation that we should grant this, is the statute states that we cannot assess property based on the value of a lease for a solar plant. This law took effect in July, and as you know, our grand lists have an effective date of April 1st. So this would have been valid for 2022. However, my initial interpretation on it, in trying to do my due diligence for the town, is that I didn't feel that it was proper to change an assessment made prior to a legislative change. I just have never seen a precedent for that in 20 years of doing this work. that didn't make any sense to me. So I left it to the appellants to grieve it if they chose. It wasn't grieved in a timely basis. However, the taxpayer is claiming that because it was a PBR recommendation on their interpretation of the statute, and the statute does say that we cannot assess for the value of a solar lease. So, again, the decision is yours, but I don't sense that we get good support in holding firm with this assessment from PB&R or even perhaps the legislature.
Lisa, can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, I also wanted to point out that I submitted a kind of chronology also with some backup information. I don't know if the board had a chance to look at it and review, but certainly if they have any questions, Thomas is also on this Zoom call, and he is MHG Solar. The other thing I would point out is this legislation actually has been in existence for I think about 10 years, and Thomas can correct me if I'm wrong. What is new is simply the fact that they tried to clarify to all the towns the basis of taxation. So the actual tax structure is basically 10 years old, but in order to assist the municipalities in being uniform and understanding it, they clarified the language, which took effect in 2021. So I hope that's helpful just as background.
Well, I would agree with that in part, Marilyn. So my understanding is that the legislation gave us a methodology to appraise, assess solar plants, and it's the same methodology that we use, that I use as a bank appraiser. It's accepted with lending institutions on a income and expense model through a solar valuation tool. So we are trained by PB&R, has held classes teaching us how to do this and sanctioning it based on the methodology set forth by the legislature. As part of that, when I took the training, and it probably was close to 10 years ago, they were also advocating that we could consider market value for a lease. It is done for other types of properties. A obvious analogy is cell towers. We certainly do assess for the value of a cell tower lease, and it's a fairly substantial value. And those have gone unappealed in multiple towns in which I am the assessor and chair of the listers in West Rutland. So there's a firm precedent for that, and that is also taught in the same class that PB&R used to run for listers and assessors, the solar and cell tower valuation course. So, I think the part about the lease was absolutely new. In fact, I had multiple discussions with PB&R. I'm president of the Vermont Assessors and Listers Association. We discussed it extensively. I testified in Montpelier opposing this legislation. So I could go on, but I don't know if the board wants all of these details, but certainly if they have any questions, I can try to answer them to the best of my ability as well.
This is Thomas Hand. Could I chime in here for a moment?
Yes.
Thank you. So, look, I mean, my company developed these projects. We built them. We have investors in them, and we rely on, guidance provided by the state in regards to taxation. We are paying tax on the solar projects to the town of Pawlet and to the state of Vermont. We have no issue with that. Our issue here is that the state of Vermont issued very, very clear guidance on taxation of land under solar projects. And I'd be happy to read to you from the website. I can do that now. It's just one or two sentences. because I think it should make this pretty clear. So this is from Vermont Department of Taxes on their website. Land underlying a facility subject to uniform capacity tax. Uniform capacity tax is how they tax solar projects at the state level. So when the land underlying a solar project is not exempt, it is value based on the land value without regard for the solar plant or facility. The standard, quote, highest and best use approach to appraisal should not be used for the land underlying facility subject to uniform capacity tax. The municipality is instead required to value the land as if it were vacant. The municipality should instead value the land using their existing land schedule without consideration of the highest and best use as a solar facility. So this was, as was previously mentioned, this was implemented in July of 2021, and we haven't had any issues with this in any other towns. I've got systems in Bennington, Arlington, Sunderland, Manchester, Dorset, Wells, Wallingford, Castleton, maybe one or two others. We haven't run into this issue with a town, in my view, incorrectly trying to tax the land under the solar project anywhere else. This has only been an issue in Pawlet, and I would say to my frustration, perhaps not yours because you haven't been dealing with it for as long, but for a year and a half we've been trying to get this resolved and haven't been able to get it resolved, and it just seems very, very straightforward to me that based on the language I just read to you from the state, that we shouldn't even have to have this conversation. We should be done here. I know it's just coming to you all, but for me it's a big frustration.
So I have a question here, looking at the request for the errors and omissions, and maybe I have a couple questions, and maybe they're dumb questions, because this is the first time I'm really looking at this. So it says that the land should be taxed as if the plant is not present. In that case, why is the tax going down from 52,000 to 0? I mean, is land that has nothing on taxed at 0?
No,
Why does it say it on this document then?
I'm sorry. An additional new parcel was created. So the land was taxed just as it was before, and then a new leasehold parcel was created that sits on top of that existing land tax. So you're effectively double taxing the same land.
Okay, so both of these are just for the additional one that's going down to 0, and there's another parcel
Correct.
that's just going to be taxed normally as the land. Okay, thank you. I understand that. Let's see. The other question I think is for our assessors. So what you're proposing here is that we adjust the 2022 grand list, which of course went out this year, but that we don't adjust the 2021 grand list because the law hadn't been passed yet when it went out?
Well, you don't have any authority to change, none of us have any authority to change the 2021 grand list. That is done, set in stone. There was no grievance that went beyond the lister's grievance regarding that parcel, and this law did not take effect until after the effective date of the 2021 grand list. So in my opinion, 2021 that's a done deal. The only option for these taxpayers would be to go to the Board of Abatement, which of course would be you folks as well as the Justice of Peaces and Treasurer in town, and that would be forgiven some actual tax dollars. But again, I don't believe there are any grounds. So I'm part of that Board of Abatement, and I would reject that. I would vote against that for 2021. For 2022, I think it's clear that this is a legislation that has been made against advice from people in my profession, and it is what it is, and we have to, I think we're not going to get any support to defy it. It is not double taxation, but again, I think the legislature has made this decision for us, so any further debate is kind of a moot point on our parts.
Well, I personally don't see any reason not to approve this change. It does seem fairly straightforward to me that this is required by law.
Right, we don't really have any grounds to stand on to deny it.
It's
So-
an incentive.
It's an incentive too, right?
Does this require a motion?
I guess we need to have a motion to,
All right, I will move that we approve the 2022 grand list change as shown here in the assessor's errors and omissions.
I'll second that.
is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So one question was, in the 2022 tax year that started July 1 and runs through June 30th of 2023, the taxpayers have made one payment, the first installment. And I think Lisa or someone there could verify that. So while you haven't done anything for the 2021-22 tax year, for this tax year, they should be entitled to a refund of the first installment, and then obviously the second installment in February just goes away, so there's, nothing to be done there.
Is that how that works, Lisa?
That is my understanding. That would be the treasurer's office who would handle all that once the grand list changes are made, then it flows through to the treasurer's office, and so Julie would implement that.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Frank?
Lisa, she said something about the Board of Abatement. Is that a process that still has to go through?
That's nothing we're talking about right now.
That would be a separate request that these taxpayers would have to bring forward, and it would be a separate hearing at a later date. And that would only apply to 2021. For 2022, you are making the decision with approving this request.
Okay, any more questions or discussion? Okay, thank you very much, Lisa and the hands.
Thank you.
Thank you. As some of you may know, we have another project that will be coming this year in Pawlet, so there will be some additional tax revenue on that one.
Thank you.
So Lisa had another item, the equalization in order to reappraise.
Okay.
Do you want to speak to that, Lisa?
Yeah, if you want me to handle that now. This actually came across the select board's desk, so to speak, back in July. So as you may or may not know, and so let me know how much of the pieces I have to fill in for the board. So the state does an equalization study, a sales study, every year that is based on the past 3 years of sales in the town, and that figure for the common level of assessment, basically the sales ratio, is used in determining your tax rate. The other thing that comes to pass with that equalization study is when your CLA, your sales ratio, falls below 85 or over 115, you are ordered to do a reappraisal. In addition, if your COD, the COD attempts to measure dispersion, if that figure falls over 20%, you are also ordered to do a reappraisal. For 2022 or 2021, the 2021 equalization study, the letter that you got in July was based on the 2021 study. So we got a new one coming out at end of December, early January for 2022. For 2021, let me switch to my other paperwork here. We were at 91% for the CLA, but we were at 20.77 for the COD. So that was the reason we got the order to reappraise.
I remember
So
this,
what that
yes.
means, the town has to be making some, we've been ordered by the state can withhold funding if we don't make plans to get a reappraisal done. And if we don't respond to this letter in a timely fashion, we can also have funding withheld to the town for not complying with that order from the state. So unfortunately, I never got that in my office, and Karen and I weren't sure whether we were even getting a letter. We were concerned that we might because of the COD, but with the CLA still being okay, and the COD just barely over 20, we thought maybe they opted not to send us a letter. So indeed, we did get that letter and should have been taking action on this in July. So now that I'm inside a panic, here's the deal. There's like 120 or 150 towns in the state of Vermont that have gotten this order or are going to get this order in the month of January, or, based on their CLA that comes out in January. Because of the insane sales price increases that we've seen over the last couple of years, everybody's CLA is through the roof, is fallen below that 85%. So there are a tremendous number of towns that need to do this, very few appraisal contractors to do this work. So the town does need to make moves towards doing a reappraisal, and we've realized that we're going to have to do that. By 2026, you'll be a full 10 years out. And that is about the earliest in my wildest dreams that you will get an appraisal contract for the 2026 grand list year. And it might be later than that. But you should go out to bid soon, is the bottom line. And we have to respond. I'm told by our district advisor that we have to respond with this RA 308 detailed reappraisal compliance plan by December 8th, I think she said was the deadline. And I've already filled that out saying basically, we just got the order, we're going out to bid, we don't anticipate being able to get an appraisal contractor for 3 to 5 years. So, so we will go out to bid and make plans, so that's what I'm recommending to the board. That's just where we stand. We're in good company with many other towns in the state.
So do you arrange that? Do you write the proposal and send it out to the contractors that will bid on this project, or?
I usually help in most towns that I've been involved with. I help with writing up that proposal, and we talk about what we want with the next reappraisal. I mean, on my wish list is a different software package. ProVal is dreadful. I can't stand it. The support for it is just dwindling to less and less available support to us. There aren't that many contractors out there that are using ProVal. I think it's only Russ Bowden who is doing that at all in the state of Vermont, and I don't recommend bringing him back. For a lot of reasons, I'd like the town to consider changing to a different software package. So that's part of the decision. And then how aggressive you want to be to try to put a bid together. I don't know what your reappraisal funds are. I was under the understanding that Pawlet has been pretty good about not using those reappraisal funds. So the town gets, I think it's a total of $850 a parcel per year for this reappraisal fund. And the town can use it for tax mapping and other purposes if they choose to. The state's take on it is, if you've used it up for other things, don't come crying to us when you are ordered to do a reappraisal if you don't have any funds.
Well, good thing we're doing budgeting next week. We can ask Julie about it.
So is
Yeah,
this,
it's been-
is this some of this information something that you can get for us in a written, like a sheet form of, you know, what you have in mind, you know, what we need to consider and et cetera, so that we can, actually next week we're doing the budget, so that would be the best time, if at all possible, you could have something, you know, that we could look at and go through and kind of get it better handled than just, you know, while listening to you talk, I'm picking it up, but when it comes to put it all right there in the paper on the lines, I want to make sure that I see it in black and white.
Yeah. Yes, Mike, and you shouldn't feel rushed to get a proposal out there. I'm a reappraisal contractor myself. I haven't done a reappraisal in a couple of years. But I could possibly do some of it in-house, and that might be a possibility. But the bottom line is I get requests for proposals all the time. I got one just tonight as I was looking in my email for the Zoom link, and it was for 2023. I don't know what this town is thinking. They're never going to get money to even start the job. You couldn't, you've got to be more thoughtful about it and more planful about it. So I think 2025, 2026 is about as early as we can conceive of getting this done.
Okay, so you're gonna answer that letter from the state, and then we need to start our process here, and you're gonna put together your wish list for this process. Okay, and then we'll be able to
Yes.
to work at that. Okay.
Yes, and I don't know if you have any history of, rules that the town may have for policies of, any bonds or anything like that you put into the appraisal contract. You might want to look. I can do some digging into that and looking at.
The last time we did appraisal, I believe the assessors did it themselves, so Karen should be up to speed on how we handled it.
You did and you didn't. You did it with the listers doing a lot of the work, but they also had consultation from Jim Boyle.
Right.
So I'm guessing contract with Jim Boyle to do the overarching land schedule and review the building schedules and all of that. And then sadly Jim passed away, and then you had another person, Russ Bowden, come in to assist with that at the end of that project.
Okay,
So I don't know if it's a contract.
right. So we had the three people to gather the information, and then we had somebody hired to assimilate all the information together. Okay. I remember that now that did occur, but I knew that our assessors did a lot of the information gathering themselves. So.
Yes, and I mean, maybe that's a possibility this time around. We'll have to see.
Okay. All right.
What I would recommend though is to not tackle too much of the process. Your busy budget season, you probably have a lot on your agenda for next week's meeting. Maybe just to get some idea of what. Did I lose you guys?
No, we're still here.
It looked like you were frozen. Falling asleep. This exciting information. Where was I going with that? Oh my God, now I've lost my train of thought. I wouldn't recommend working too much on the proposal. Let's look at the reappraisal fund and see what you have in that and what kind of shape you're in looking towards a reappraisal. I think that would be the pertinent information that you need for your budget for right now.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
Frank?
If the CLA drops, does that change the status at all?
Well, you're already ordered to reappraise, but I can tell you it will be lower this year, and we'll probably be within that threshold on both counts in a bigger way. The COD might actually correct a little bit, but the CLA will probably continue to go down. We've just had sales that are.
But they'll still make us reappraise even though we're back in line?
No, it'll be
You
worse.
won't be back in line with your CLA. Yeah, so it's unlikely. 10 years is really about realistic. Some assessors and people in Montpelier are trying to advocate for every 5 years. I think that's a tremendously costly process to ask towns to do every 5 years. But every 10 years is pretty reasonable. When you go 20 years, oh, geez, you'll have like houses that didn't get picked up and garages and outbuildings and, I mean, granted, these things are supposed to be permitted, but there's usually a lot of stuff that you pick up with a full reappraisal and inspecting, and doing it every 10 years is just, it's
That's
just kind of
reasonable.
standard procedure.
Okay. Frank?
Two quick questions. Number one, we're probably gonna be at the 10-year rate given the,
Right.
anyways.
Right.
All right, number two is if this $8.50 or something per property is to be held in reserve fund, that may be actually reserved, and if it isn't, might have to replenish it during this budget season to keep
Right.
it in reserve.
We'll have to work on that.
Yep.
Exactly. Thank you.
Exactly.
Harley?
That's the information I think that you need for next week is how, what kind of shape you're in looking towards a reappraisal in a couple of years.
Okay.
It wasn't quite clear to me, who has the action of answering the letter from the state.
Lisa
Just
does.
looking at that, when I first read it, I had the understanding that the select board had to acknowledge this. So there was the third page of this letter you got back in July, said the response must be signed by the chair of the legislative body of the municipality. So I think you should do that, and we should send that off with this other compliance form that I'm being told I need to fill out, and that can be completed by the board of listers. So I think we both have a little bit of paperwork to do. Mine is pretty straightforward because we can't answer a lot of the questions about a reappraisal, and for your part, it's just the chair signing that you received this letter and that, yes,
If you email that to me, Lisa, I'll sign it and send it back to you.
This is,
I certainly can, yes.
Thank you.
And question two,
Yes.
if there's a specific software package that's compatible with the systems we use here in the town, that should be part of the RFP. We want it done and using these tools so they're compatible.
Right, and then we'll
Just
have
make
to
it
change
part of that.
our system over. We'll have to see how much money it's gonna cost to change our system over.
Oh, whatever works
Right.
with the systems they use, or if they are switching over, but make that part of the RFP so whoever is bidding on the work knows that that's a requirement.
Because one of the deals is that the assessor's office, that software works with the treasurer too, so
Yes.
they have to be friends.
Right,
That's
but
what I
not to
understand.
get a,
Well,
Right.
no, actually, that's not true, Mike.
Not
So-
even, okay.
This is another really fun wrinkle. So I use two pieces of software in my office. One is the assessment software, the CAMA program, which basically that calculates from the inventory and the land schedules and the building schedules the assessed value for each parcel. That information is then fed into a different software package, the Grand List software package that Julie uses to generate the tax bills and that we use to report to the state and get homestead declarations and the current use back from the state. That has been a program called NEMRIC
Okay.
and is now transitioning to a new program called VT-Pi. And so that's another adventure that we're going to have, and that's starting in 2023. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying that.
Any of these appraisal packages that we use will have to work with the new Grand List software. Is the bottom line.
Okay. Frank?
so my understanding of this letter that you're coordinating between the two of you is due there by the 8th of this month.
Hmm?
She said the 8th was the due date
Right.
for the
Yes.
response letter.
Right.
You might want to mention your software transition, would it be part of this as well?
We're just gonna tell them that yes, we're gonna be their friend and do what they ask. That's all that letter says.
That's all we have to tell them right now,
Right?
exactly.
That's exactly all they need to know, right? We're gonna be friends and we're gonna play nice. All right, perfect.
Yeah, a little bit of, we're trying really hard, PDR, we're really trying.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you. Any more questions?
All right.
Are you all set, Lisa? Do you need anything else, or are we all set for now?
I am all set, thank you for your
Okay.
time.
All right, thank you.
Have a great night, everybody.
You too.
So,
Town clerk's memo.
None. No report at this meeting.
Okay. Treasurer's memo.
There is a report. Hold on. Okay. So there are 2 warrants this week. The payroll for this period was $7,528.01. Accounts payable was $236,904.90. General fund monies $9,123.40. Highway $233,394.14. Wastewater $1,915.37. I had mentioned a new credit card last meeting. I have gathered information on a new card through Berkshire and will file the paperwork with them either this week or next. While there, I also gathered information on different account rates and would like to discuss some options with you, but unfortunately, I don't think I can make it tonight. We could discuss at the budget meeting or the 12/13 meeting. If there is anything else or anything you need before next Tuesday's budget meeting, please let me know. The motions are for payroll warrant number 23029 for $7,528.01 and the accounts payable warrant 23030 for $273,154.90 as printed, but less the $36,250 voided check, which was mentioned in an email. In reality, that motion is for $236,904.90, and that was respectfully submitted by Julie Mack.
Since I'm the liaison to the town treasurer, I'll go ahead and message Julie and just make sure that she has the information about what's in that reappraisal fund, so we
Okay.
can know that.
Okay. That's good. What was the voided check for? I guess I didn't read that email thoroughly.
So let's see. Please note that the bottom line number on the invoice list and the accounts payable warrant do not match. This is because the appropriation check to West Pawlet Volunteer Fire Department was lost. It was not their fault, and Berkshire waived the stop payment fee to us. And I voided the old check and reissued a new one.
Okay. Understood now.
So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do we have a motion for the warrants?
I'll make that motion.
Bob made it. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Geez, if we do a reappraisal, Frank, they might find a nice brick house in your forest down there in West Pawlet.
Might find it.
They might find a house in there.
Well, I'm probably one of the most aggressive with reducing carbon due to the root systems that are deeper, but take the carbon and put it into the soil. You see, look, the bigger the plant, the more roots you have and the more distribution of the carbon into the soil. It's good for the environment.
You can put a lot of pods in that house, Frank. You should invite friends over to live there in the winter with you. All
No
podded up.
insulation.
That's why you build it into pods.
Build the pod thing, yeah, then go with the pods. Yeah, we have to have the
Body heat.
zoning changed though for that, because setbacks and all that stuff are a bit onerous.
Just
Now
for
we're-
winter stuff. So
Your
We're
mother'd
looking
be
at that
happy.
now.
Your mother'd be
We're working
happy
on
to
it.
trade that Trade your car in for a horse and ride your horse around to reduce carbon emissions.
My mother once said to me, there's pills for people like you.
I know your mother pretty well. She wasn't kidding either, was she?
Well, that's, I'm in the autism spectrum with Asperger's, so that's kind of, was a felony actually to intimidate me that way. In the state of Vermont, it's that wide open. Literally, if someone didn't like the Red Sox and they were in the spectrum, and you mentioned that you liked the Red Sox, it could upset them, which would trigger a felony investigation.
Wow.
It's really wide open. It's unbelievable.
It's okay though, because it was your mother.
I was gonna say mothers get a waiver.
All right, here's the warrant. Okay.
Okay. Emergency management is the first Monday, right?
That's right.
Health officer is the first Monday.
That's right.
Wastewater, we've heard nothing.
Nothing.
So, no news is good news.
That's right.
Facilities.
Have you contacted our friend?
I did talk to Rudd, Dave, and he was hoping that he was going to try and get his father up here last week to start on it, but apparently they never finished up their jobs in Dorset. So he told me it was close. He said, I'm hoping I might even be able to get up there next week, but it's a short week. And he said they were finishing a job in Dorset. And
Maybe they'll get up here this week.
And they were, so maybe you'll be here this week, or maybe it's contractor talk.
Somebody once told me it was like a couple 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
A couple 2-3s. So I was like, man, this could be anywhere from like 2 to 12. I don't know.
And you can multiply the 2 and the 3 and come up with 6. And
Yeah, I'm like, that's really good. I should start doing that.
Is that it for facilities too?
Yes.
That's it, okay. And no school report. Older unfinished business.
So, yes. Okay, there are a couple things. So the Stephanie Bork from Rutland Regional said good news that we could select a different piece of equipment. She asked for that equipment grant, and so she asked around, and we could absolutely do that. And there's more money, seemingly more money in the till, so we could potentially grab something that was more than what we had applied for, which was the leaf blower. So she said, out of the list, we can just let her know what we might be interested in, and there's a strong possibility that we would get additional funding, so we wouldn't have to kick out any additional funds, although that's always a possibility. So that's just something that we need to think about. Both of the members of the highway department have expressed their interest in being involved in this decision, so I've given them both the list of the equipment, the piece, the eligible pieces of equipment, and I've asked that they spend some time looking into those and let us know what they think would be best suited for the town. I think that they both have different opinions, so I'll wait to hear what they think their top priorities are, and then we can go from there. But I do think that it's something that we'll want to do sooner than later. I have to refresh my memory on when the date is that we need to do that by, but definitely this winter. So that's good news there. And then we got an email about from Devin about the invoice from Fuss and O'Neill. Did you look into that? It was back on the
I didn't. I had looked at it and I thought that it was just saying we needed to send it, and I assumed Julie would send it. I
Okay.
might be wrong.
I just wanted to, I saw it, it came into my inbox, and I just wanted to make sure I didn't drop the ball on it, but I think that we need to send the payment for it, and
Okay.
so maybe we can, do you want to follow up with
Yeah,
Kelly
I'll
on
follow
that?
up.
Okay. And those are the only other, that was all I had.
Unfinished business. How were you ever making out with the television set?
Oh, we're making out with it, so.
Making out with it, good, huh? Good.
Okay, so we're using this fine piece, which is good. So the iPad doesn't work with the owl,
Okay.
from what I can find so far.
Okay.
I'm waiting for B&H to send me the replacement piece for the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want the TV mounted to the wall, or do we want to use the stand?
That's the stand back there.
Yes.
Let's start with the stand and see
It
how
looks
that
pretty
works.
sturdy.
Yeah. So we're just waiting for them to send us the replacement piece for
okay.
that. So then we'll have the TV up and we'll be good to go there. The only trouble is that seemingly the iPad is not communicating. I've tried it like 3 separate times.
Okay.
So we do have the iPad. The good thing about the iPad is that after the meeting with Rutland Regional, there's a couple of apps that need to be used for road software that we need to do for road inventory, which she said works great if you can have an iPad where you can go out on into the field. So it's something that the town will benefit from having. But that's where we're at there.
So then we have to buy like a laptop or something?
Yeah, I think though I put a message out to the OWL support team to see, because I don't see why the iPad couldn't work, because we got this adapter piece. So I'm waiting to hear back from them to see if maybe there's like an update or something that I need to do. So it is happening. I'm
just
trying.
wondering, I hope they give a hoot.
Yes, you would hope they give a hoot about it.
All right.
Yes.
Cool. Oh, that would be great. I was just looking at that iPad thinking, oh, what would become of that?
I know. It's yeah. We're moving.
Any
along
other
with it.
older unfinished business? No good. New business? Nothing. Public comment? Frank?
I have a merge question. Been over to the library and up doing some collating of some papers, and Adele suggested I ask you guys to use the upstairs because it's not used as frequently, trying to get scheduled in, because there's a lot of competition for space over there. And so I'm just wondering if I can use the room upstairs for a couple of days, just have a table or the stage and lay out some papers just to staple them, to tear them apart and staple them back together, because I have to spread out to do it, if that's all right.
What is it? What is it for?
I'm going around the state doing a survey of, and I've been most of the southwestern Vermont's covered already, talking with state police investigators, talking with funeral homes, talking with hospitals, nurses, rescue squads, doing a complete survey relative to some data I'm collecting. And I'm going to be interviewed on some web podcasts and different stuff, but I need this paperwork as part of the communication package, meeting with people to collect this data.
So you need some space, a large area for a few days.
4 tables, basically space.
Okay.
So it's spread out so I can just put this pile of papers and then take
So
this and this and this and staple them together.
Okay, so it's you just need the space.
That's
Okay.
it.
I mean, I assume that as long as it's, probably check with Deb to make sure no one's scheduled this.
Make sure no one's
I
scheduled.
checked with Kristen.
Ed,
Okay.
'Cause
Yeah.
We've been,
Deb's out
we've
for the
been
week.
scheduling the
Oh, yeah.
So
interviews.
next week, right?
when did you want to do it?
Anytime.
Is it something that you're gonna leave set up for days?
No,
Maybe
he's
one night overnight, but not really. I'm anticipating a full day. The reason the library is a short day, and it takes me an hour to move in and an hour to move out with the boxes of stuff that's all separated. So that's why Adele suggested that it might be something that, since the space isn't being used during that period of time, it wouldn't be a problem if it's just paper. It's nothing valuable.
Did she offer the basement of the library?
That's being used a lot, apparently.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, they got all that space all
So
like, divvied up.
Does anybody have any problem with him using that space? All right, the only thing I'm going to tell you, how many days?
It'd be 2 at most.
Okay.
And
I'm
the
gonna
weather
hold you to
committee-
that.
committee might be,
I'm going to hold you to that because if it turns into being there over a week,
no way.
it's
No
going
way.
out the back window.
No way, it'd be 2, possible,
Okay.
maximum 3, but chances of 3 is like 2%.
I just made myself clear. You get to use it.
You got
but-
it. You're clear.
all right, thank you.
Can you just let me know, because we might be up there doing an interview for a half
Sure.
an hour or so.
Yep.
So it's fine if your papers are there. Well,
Yep.
but maybe we just might need you to
All right, I can step
vacate.
aside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just keep me
You
posted.
give me a couple
please.
of dollars to go up and get a soda up street.
You can go buy me some coffee.
That's it.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? We're all good? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll
All in
second
favor?
Hi.
Carried.
Oh,
And
we're done
we meet
early.
again next Tuesday night, same time,
Yep.
Yep.
and doing the same
All over
fun
again.
stuff. Thank you everyone for coming. Have a good night.